Well, thank you for coming. I don't know how many of you have heard about HackerRank. I'm Vivek. I'm one of the founders and CEO of HackerRank. So just to give you a little bit of background, I used to work at Amazon as a developer before this, where I did a lot of technical interviews and found that resumes were a very poor indicator of skills. It was just really hard to figure out whether you were good at something because everybody claimed to be an expert, and rightfully so, because that's what you like to claim in a resume. And that's what led us to start HackerRank. Our mission at HackerRank is to match every developer to the right job with the underlying driver being skill versus resumes. So I'll give you a little bit of idea of how this works. So right now, the way HackerRank works is, let's say you want to get a job. Traditionally, what you would do is you would go on to different career pages, you would go on to different job boards and apply with your resume, and which is filled with biases. The way HackerRank works is each company can create their own coding challenge. So for example, if you're VMware, you could create your own coding challenge for a front-end developer, or Goldman Sachs can create your own data science challenge for a data scientist. And as a developer, all I need to do is attempt that challenge, and if I clear the bar, I get called for an interview. So it's a very skill-based, merit-based driven platform that we have built. We launched in 2013, and over the last 4.5 years, we have built a community of over 3.4 million developers. That's roughly over 10% of the world's developer population. We've signed up over 1,000 customers across the globe, across different industries, different sizes, and are right now doing roughly 2 assessments every minute. So that's the rate at which we have been growing, and we have so much of data about all the developers who are attempting these challenges. But today's talk is not about like HackerRank, the product, but today's talk is about what we did a survey to our developer community, and which we launched earlier this year. So we wanted to get into the minds of what are developers really thinking about. And developer hiring is such a critical need for every company. And so we wanted to know more, and we asked our developer community a set of questions ranging from when did you learn to code to what do you look for when you're going to search for a new job. And we were really surprised, and pleasantly, we got over 39,000 developers from our community complete the survey. This is actually one of the largest developer surveys that we have done. And we've published that at research.hackerrank.com, and it's been read by over 500,000 developers across the globe. So I've picked 5 of the most popular insights, popular in terms of people who have shared it on social media, people have found this to be interesting, and some key takeaways if you're into developer recruiting and developer hiring. So those are the 5 insights that I want to share with all of you. So the first one is, how did you learn to code? Any developers here? How did you learn to code? School? Took out books and started coding. It's pretty amazing. Over 74%, close to 74%, claimed that they were self-taught. And I'm a self-taught developer myself, so I can definitely relate to this. But what's more interesting is, even though close to 70% of them had a degree, went to a school, had a college degree, most of their learnings came from learning on their own, learning through books, like you said, learning online, because the barriers to learn a language, learning to code, is just getting smaller and smaller. And what this means in terms of the recruiting landscape, which we try a lot to educate our customers, is a lot of times companies just focused on which school did you go to, which company you worked at before, your pedigrees, your GPAs, and others, when the reality is over 75% of developers, close to 75% of developers, actually learn to code on their own. And so you're just missing out a giant population of talent pool, who could very well be really smart developers that companies are missing out right now. And nearly all developers have an insatiable thirst for learning. And this is going to continue, and this trend is only going to continue in the right direction, where people are going to learn to code on their own. So that was the first insight in how we're helping companies understand this. We're helping developers who've learned, who are self-taught developers, to get them in front of these great companies. The second one is on what are the most popular languages. Like what are the what we call as trending in languages is really what do developers want to learn? What are they interested to try out, or what are they actually trying to build? Any guesses? The most popular one? React? Did you take the survey? Okay. So the most popular one is actually Go. And this is again like from the survey of from our community. It's close to 40%. And the reason why we bring this up is a lot of times developers want to learn new things, want to learn new languages, and Go is starting to pick this up. There are a lot of companies who are actually rewriting their microservices, their API in Go. For example, the latest one being Uber, they rewrote their entire location API using Go. So a lot of development happening, and this is one of the most popular trending languages right now. And the third interesting insight that we had on the survey are what are the core competencies employers look for. And this is during the interview process. And for what it's worth, I don't think there is a very standardized way of doing interview process, but at least there are some commonalities across different companies. And there are so many different skills that you assess in an interview process. You look at problem solving, you look at can you actually code in that particular language, like language proficiency? Can you design a large system? Can you debug a code? There are so many different things that you assess in an interview. But one of the most common things, or the highest, the core competency that employers look for is problem solving. So this is answered by a cohort of hiring managers. So of the 39,000 developers, there is I can't remember the number off the top of my head, there's a sizable population of hiring managers who, and this question was posed to them. And 94% of them had a common answer of, we want to assess people on problem solving. So we actually went further and asked them, what do you really mean by problem solving? And there are different terms people use or companies use. Some of them call it problem solving, some of them call it computational thinking. But ultimately it is, if I give you a large problem, can you break that down into sub-problems, and can you go ahead and solve that? Because new languages are coming up, new frameworks are coming up. While knowledge of language and framework is super critical or important, given the fact that it's going to continue to come up, it's important for you to this tests your learnability. Can you actually learn a new language? Can you actually learn a new framework to do that? And this is what we're seeing across our 1,000 customer base as well. Like almost all employers prioritize problem solving skills first. The last two insights are going to be focused on women in tech. So we had of the 39,000, we had close to 14,000 developers who were working at different companies. So they were senior professional developers. And of the 14,000, there was about 14 to 15% of them who were women professional developers. So the last two insights are based on the results of that particular cohort. And I'm going to share you one really, really encouraging sign. So this is a graph of age and degree. So if you look at it, and the way to read this graph is, in the age group of 18 to 24, about 3% of them have a non-STEM CS degree, about 22.6% have a STEM degree, and 74.5% have a CS degree. This is in the age group of 18 to 24. Now, compare that with the age group of 35 plus, you see only 55.9 or close to 56% actually have a CS degree compared to 74.5 in the first age group. Now, this is a very, very encouraging, healthy sign. And today, women are 33% more likely to study computer science than student women 20 years ago. So that's definitely moving in the right direction, but it doesn't stop there. The more encouraging sign is it's not restricted to really technology companies. Well, right now, you could almost claim that every company is a software company, whether you're in an automobile industry or a retail or a financial services. At the core of it, every company is going through a transformation of becoming a software company. But the distribution of people, of women working across is split from technology to finance to education to automotive to retail across the board. Now, while that's a good, encouraging sign, the thing that we need to get better at is if you look at the graph of junior and senior developers across different age groups. So what you're starting to see is that as we continue to move towards farther end of the x-axis, you can see that women who are 35 years and older, you can see the percentage of junior developers is still higher compared to men who are 35 years and over. It's pretty good. It's pretty close in the age group of 18 to 24. The junior and senior developer ratios, but it starts to slow down. The ratio still is skewed between women and men as the age continues to increase. So there's definitely a lot of work that still needs to be done. Like over 20% of women over the age of 35 are still in junior positions. Of course, there are always caveats and nuances in this survey, which is, these are people who are self-identifying themselves as junior and senior, and so there's no universal calibration of what a junior and senior is, but at least it's directionally right. And that's the stat of over 20% of women over the age of 35 are still in junior positions. So at the heart of it, what we really want to do as a company and what we want to go ahead and build is really change the world in terms of recruiting based on skill. And that's the heart of what we do, and that's the core of our company, that's the ethos of the company. And there are so many great stories, from a dishwasher in Spain getting a job at VMware and getting promoted twice as a developer, to a mom who wanted to take a break to take care of her kids, finding it super hard to get back into the industry because her resume showed that there was a break for 5 years. But then the only way that she could get back into workforce was by proving her coding skills. And then they said, wow, you're really good. Now and she's now started to work. There are so many different stories. There's so many hundreds and hundreds of stories that we have where the goal is, can we help match a developer to the right job with the underlying driver being skill versus resume? That's our core goal. That's our ethos. And that's what we want to do. So thank you, everyone.